6 degrees here in Nanaimo, just a tad cooler than it was 2 weeks ago, but the summer really making a triumphant splash here in the late days of August. And I was speaking with Michelle from the VI Raiders a little bit earlier prior to the game, and she was really hoping to have had a cooler day here for the troops. And as I mentioned before, hydration and the like that always comes in so huge on a day like today. These young men already practicing for hours out in the sun with no doubt these warm temperatures to contend with. The Raiders looking for some answers here early on in the season, as this game will bring them to the halfway point threshold of the season. And head coach Jay Daniels bringing on board Trevor Pelland, an offensive assistant. And I was speaking with him this afternoon just prior to warm-up, and there's a couple of new plays we might have to keep an eye out for on the part of the Raiders, trying to just jostle things around a little bit, get the element of surprise. And I'm told that they've already spoken to the officials to make sure that they're aware of these set plays as well, as timing is everything for them. A little bit of a breeze kicking in here this afternoon. You might hear a little bit of it whistle around up here, but I assure you it's an absolutely delightful day to take in football. Some of the PG Kodiak fans here in support, wearing their traditional gold-colored hats. And I did see a couple of signs already. Nick Tremblay was one of them. And also Taman Piddock, also well represented here by the fans, as we're getting set for the opening kickoff, and that'll be delivered by the Kodiaks. Raiders on the reception. Should be an excellent game today. Some very valuable points on the board for both teams. Kick is high and spinning, and it's collected in the backfield. Brought up field now. And Andrew Mattis making a move around the outside, and he managed to avoid one tackle and two as he gets carried out towards the sidelines. And there is a flag down on the field, and it looked like initially it might be against the Kodiaks, but we'll have to reassess here. And a great run back to open things up, and the Raiders look like they're really going to be into business here today, looking to shake things up and try and eradicate this start that they've had. And the penalty is declined, so we've got a first down, and to work with the football, here go the Raiders. And Ben Chomaluk, who's been very active in the run game. And I know a couple of weeks ago I may have made a reference to one of the stars in the NFL, but I was thinking about it, and there's the handoff. Paul Romanoff to the near side of the field. He avoids two tackles, and he's going to get pushed out of bounds right at the center line, and there is a flag on the play, and I think it might be unnecessary roughness on the part of the Kodiaks as they discuss the call down at the near side of the field. Ben Chomaluk doing some outstanding running, and after some consideration, I was thinking his game actually kind of mirrors Dak Prescott a little bit more, and he has moved his way up in that department. A lot of running and some signaling there over towards the Raiders bench. It'll be interesting to see how the new look offensive assistant gets in there. Trevor Pelland talking about the a pooch punt that they have been working on, and it's all about timing. And boy, look at those chains move as they move that ball all the way from the center line where he was knocked out of bounds. And it's all the way to the 43 of the Kodiaks. So fortuitous field position here for the Raiders as they talk things over with Ben Chomaluk. Paul Romanoff with a good opening run. And the Raiders looking just that much more settled and that much more in sync every single game that passes. Hayden Day, hero from a couple of weeks ago, lines up wide. Romanoff goes to the inside. There's the handoff. Good, powerful legs pushing him through. And that was some good, decent yardage there, maybe 5 or 6 for sure on the play. And they sold the other play action very well. And the Raiders opening up with an impressive drive here to start the football game. Spencer Newens, the offensive lineman, in to hike this ball. Chomalik has 3 in motion to his right. He throws one there, and it's caught down the middle of the field. There's a flag on the play. Breaking 1 tackle and 2. And he's inside. And will this one stand? They've got their hands in the air, and it didn't take long. The Raiders strike first. And there is a flag on the play, so we have to check this out. Oh, and it is against the Raiders, and it looks like it was holding. Oh, my goodness, and that certainly stings, but you can feel the momentum on the field as the Raiders just came alive there, and a great reception, but for the flag on the field and the hold on the offensive line. So there was some promise there with the play, but it just looked like the field opened up a little too much in the middle for it to have been a completely legal play. So the Raiders now accepting the penalty here from the 48. Chomalik in the shotgun, surveys, throws it, and it's caught and immediately brought down. And it looks like it's going to be close to a first down. And again, with the hot hands going to Riker Sansbury, as the receiver just did his job and he turned and faced the ball perfectly.
No, we're on defense. Raiders Aug. Yeah. Must be our punting. No, that was fourth down. Paul's punting. No, we're punting. No. Paul's in for Paul is in, yeah.
But it looks like the Raiders might punt this one away here. Or is this the new pooch play that they talked about? It's all about timing here. Ball is snapped. Kicked deep and caught right around the 20-yard line. Met by a sea of black jerseys. And even Paul Romanoff was in on that tackle, meeting the runner immediately as Zane Casigua. So a good opening drive by the Raiders. Unfortunately, a flag held them back from making it at least a 6-0 start here. And the Kodiaks have to be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief as the Raiders had some very early momentum on the opening drive. And now they're going to call on the defense to try and shut things down here a little bit. Great crowd out this afternoon. Prince George very well represented in the pocket. There's the ball, and it's thrown and dropped very close to the line of scrimmage. The ball was a little bit of a floater, and just as I was mentioning that there were very few drops, Jerome Erickson, the wide receiver, jumping up to meet that ball, but as I mentioned, it was kind of a little bit floating and hanging up there, and he might have been concerned about the nearby tackle. 2nd and 10. Kodiaks. There's the snap, long throw downfield, and it's 2-man coverage, and a great job by the Raiders getting in there. Isaiah Rogers, the defensive back, jumping up in tandem and knocking that ball down, and that's going to bring about a punt situation here for the PG Kodiaks. So the defense represented very well on that play as PG decided to go right up the middle, and some good man-to-man coverage. And as always, who else in there but number 6, Jacob Gilman. Such an emotional leader on the field for the Raiders. Low punt. Had a little bit of trouble with it, but now picked up Turn back the other way, just over the center line, and met by 4, 5, 6 white and gold jerseys, and brought down around the 53-yard line. Carson Flynn, the defensive back, in on that tackle. So still 0-0 here in the early goings, first quarter. And the Raiders, much like their opponent, the Valley Huskers, 2 weeks ago here, had an early touchdown called back due to a flag. And an unfortunate holding call against the Raiders, but they're ready to go back to work here. Chomlik with the handoff on the near side, trying to find some room, but wrapped up immediately and brought to the field. Xavier Analike couldn't really gain much traction there as the Kodiaks lined up very well and closed all the seams. But he did well, just hung on to the ball, tried to charge it forward, and probably a gain of a couple on the play. Ryan Nagel, the linebacker, also in on that tackle. 3 in motion on the far side, caught down the middle, trying to look for some territory there. Shandon O'Donovan, and he makes the play, catching that ball, and continues to move it down. And it was very close. Yes, they indeed mark it as a first down. So the Raiders with something else to stoke the fire here as they try and regain that early momentum that was afforded by that touchdown called back. Look at him shake off that first tackle. He did very well. Nick Tremblay, as I mentioned, he was in on that tackle. He was the first one there, and he's got a couple of fans here from Prince George watching him today. Quick action on the near side. Oh, and it was dropped to Harmon Ahuja. He had it for almost long enough, but he was already assessing the downfield situation, and the ball just dropping on him. But that's okay. They've got second down here, and they'll go back to work. And Chomlik hasn't run the ball yet as he checks his play card there. But you can be certain that he'll be doing some of that today. He's one of the best at it in the league so far this season. Romanoff moving here on the near side. There's the throw, and it was up through the hands, and a little bit of a bump at the end there, but I don't think it was intentional, and that's going to bring about a punt situation here for the Raiders as both teams just trying to get that timing down. Chomlik immediately sent that ball, but it was a high blaster, and just AJ Carr just unable to take it cleanly there. It was up around the helmet area. There's the snap. It's in the turf, but a good punt getting it away, and they're going to have to try and size this one. Now it's grabbed, and now there's a flag on the play. Maybe not enough yards, but he's mowed out of bounds around the 18-yard line, and that's where the Kodiaks, well, actually, they might have a few extra yards here. So they might be starting from around the 23. We'll have to see. Jacob Wong with that reception, had to find it in the turf there, and a good tackle by committee by the Raiders. Luke Dawson in on that one. Very strong defensive play from the Raiders so far this afternoon, and they've been doing a very good job with their man-on-man coverage and reading what's being thrown at them here. Ball is snapped, handoff, and makes his way down to about the 33. And that was Xander Shane, the running back, with picking up a few yards. Sam Sabine. As they hand off near the line. Running it up to about the 44-yard line, and good work there on the part of the Kodiaks to open up a little bit of room, give them a little bit of traction, and that'll move the chains here as the Kodiaks get to work on their playbook here. And Quinn Newcomb doing a good job just using his running backs and the halfbacks here. Two in motion on the near side, and that's where it comes. It's delivered to Braden Van Someren, and he found a little bit of room and a good tackle there as Gilman came in and assisted, and I think the first man on the ball, that was Nathan Halyuk. Halyuk getting in there, but and it was actually a good solid hit. You can see them needing to readjust Van Someren's shoulder gear there, but he didn't really favor anything when he came back up. Just good low tackle, just got enough of the jersey, but it was that secondary effort by the Raiders, and I'd have to say that it was very important that they were able to bring in Nathan Halyuk. There's a throw to the outside right around the center line, but a good wrap up and brought down. Another good reception here as Van Someren's really being used here in the early going. And Quinn Newcomb doing a good job of mixing up these plays here, going to the air, running it on the ground. And as we talked about earlier, Jay Daniels, they just want to limit their opponent's playbooks and make them run the ball on the early downs. But the Kodiaks able to get in a couple of throws here, and Braden Van Someren's been hot in that department. Handoff right down through the middle, and it takes a couple of Raiders to bring them down. Nick, as Kea Saunders was first in on that tackle, but again, the Kodiaks really mixing up the playbook here early, and it's giving the Raiders defense some trouble here. Six minutes left in this first quarter. Newcomb, three in motion on the near side, but he goes down the far side, and the ball was thrown up, and a good play, good coverage by the cornerback as the Raiders made sure they took away everything on the outside. Maybe if he would have tried to deliver the ball to the near side, might have had an extra target or two. But Cale Cowley, as we mentioned, 6'7". Got his schooling in Coquitlam. Spent his first 2 years with the Langley Rams, and now he really wants to take a lead role in this offense. Newcomb has to get it away quick, and another target there for Cowley, but there wasn't going to be any jump ball on this one, as he talked about in his interview with Gideon Hill. That's where Newcomb likes to try and find him, force that jump ball. So difficult as a cornerback to try and cover someone that tall, but as you can see, the ball was just thrown up in front of him a little too far, and he had the left arm outstretched, but unable to complete that one. Big down here for the Raiders. This ball is going to be deep into their own territory and just out of bounds, so that won't necessitate a run back here by the Raiders. A change of personnel by the Kodiaks, and the Raiders will get a chance to see if they can put together another successful drive like they had on the opening. Unfortunate they had that touchdown called back. Riker Sansbury looks so ready to go today. He's
if it goes out of bounds,
seems like he's been everywhere so far on the offensive line, and the ball placed at the Raiders 35. Spencer Newens set to deliver the ball to Ben Chomalik. He's got the running back and the halfback there, and he does hand it off. Marcus Crisp found some room, and he did very well as he was carrying two players right behind him, and one of them was Riley Ament. The linebacker was first in on the tackle and immediately joined by a couple of his line mates. It's interesting that we've seen Chomalik mostly throwing here or handing off early. He hasn't actually taken the ball himself, which would speak against the stats that he's built so far this season. Jules Trench, also another defensive linebacker, in on that tackle. Low snap, but Chomalik recovers and he throws it on the near side. Good catch and slammed down with authority at around the 45-yard line. But a great catch, and it's Miguel Dominguez with a big reception there, as the Raiders doing exactly what they need to do right now, and that's put together some drives. And they continue to move the chains here. Good reception, and look at that run after the play. Even though he was being brought down, he still managed to eke out a couple of extra yards. Chomalik, the handoff in the backfield. Oh, and a slip, and that'll bring the play to a halt with a loss of nearly 5 there on the play. And a couple of the Raiders upset at the linesman there. Something happened on the field on the near side. I think that involved Caleb Charlton. The linebacker was upset. So a loss of about 4 on the play, and unfortunately for Alexandra Andrew, the turf just wouldn't sustain him there, and he had a slip and was touched immediately. Chomalik dropping back into the pocket, gets 2 good blocks, but he's going to have to do something here. He fakes the stop up, and now he's just going to run it, throws his shoulder down, and he gets out right around the 48-yard line. So good job by Chomalik on his first run, but he's just going to afford his kicker a little bit better field position here. A gain of about 3 yards on the play is Robin Rydberg, or pardon me, Delson McCorrister finishing off the play. There's the snap. Punt makes it down around the 30 to the near side of the field, trying to take a couple of stutter steps and brought out. And there's a flag on the play as Jacob Wong running that one back, and he draws a penalty as well. And that was Adam Woodward, I believe, that the call will be against. Although it could potentially have, it could have been Jaden Robson as well that the call is going against, but it does indeed move the ball right near the center yard line. And that's where Quinn Newcomb will go to work here. Three in motion on his left side, but gives the handoff, and maybe a gain of 3 on the play as they charge in over the center line. Getting a little more action there. Xander Shane once again. He had a good run earlier in this first quarter, which is coming close to the 2 minutes remaining mark. And if you've just joined us, it's still 0-0. The Raiders with a touchdown called back. There's the throw, and it's knocked down. Good job by Cole Dumont as the linebacker just got in the road and knocked that one down with authority. And that'll bring about a change of formations here for the Kodiaks. It was a hard throw, but it was great coverage, and that was emphasized by Marcus Harvey as he showed his appreciation for that knockdown. Cole Dumont with a big defensive play here. Oh, and they fake the play over to the outside. Cowley runs into a sea of black jerseys, and there is a flag on the play, so we're going to have to await the outcome of that. But what an interesting play call there, as Cale Cowley, as he talked about in his interview with Gideon Hill, he's been brought in on the special teams, and he's a hard player to miss out there. 6'7", and Gideon was asking him about his height and his weight and how that factors in, and he says that it has indeed helped him get more work with the special teams. Just a shade over 200 pounds. Went to Centennial High School in Coquitlam, and
no, our offense is in. No, offense is in because there's 2 flags on the decline penalty.
So it seems like one of the penalties was declined. And the Raiders with some good field position here, and you know, I could hear them in their pregame cheer, and they were being pumped up, and I could hear the call on the field, and they said no dumb penalties, and everyone repeated it on the field. Chomalek going to work with fakes the handoff to Ahuja, still barrels through, and he makes a couple extra yards as none of the Kodiaks bit on that handoff to Harmon Ahuja. And so Ben Chomalek, as he's been called on to do here early in this season, having to run the ball. But he's so deceptive. You see a number of times here when he's in that scramble situation, he'll fake a throw downfield or potentially fake the pitch backwards and just keeps moving the ball. Just under a minute to go here in the first quarter. 2 in motion on his right, but he's looking left. No one's open yet. Now he throws it, and is it complete? Oh, it was very close. You could see Hayden Day, is when the ball first arrived near the number on his jersey, it looked like he almost had to put his hands in a defensive formation to knock the ball down, and I wasn't sure if that ball went into the turf, but it was very close. What a great scramble is Chomalek. Then he delivers the ball, and yes, it was indeed caught. Good job by Hayden Day. And now the Raiders getting into scoring territory here. Chomalek fakes the throw, tries to move it through the middle, but he's met by a couple. And as they try and bring him down, and they're just going to stop the play. Maybe a gain of about 2 or 3 on the play. Chomalek did fake the throw early, and there's the first quarter wrapped up and in the bag, and we're sitting at zeros here as they will head to their respective benches here. And as I alluded to, the Raiders did initially have a touchdown signaled, but the play was called back due to an offensive hold, and a 0-0 scoreline is where we're at. These two teams, we knew it was going to be probably a very tight opening here, as these two teams have never faced each other. This is the first time that the Prince George Kodiaks have traveled to Vancouver Island. So many good food trucks and ice cream and beverage vendors here. Just a wonderful day to take in football as the sun is starting to drop a little bit, but still very bright, open conditions here, and the fans being treated to a good battle here early on. And even more fan signage there for the Kodiaks. Hayden Matheson, the defensive back, he's also being represented here. There's a lot of Kodiak fans that have traveled with the team. And also wanted to give a little shout out to Ethan, the broadcaster for the Prince George Kodiak. Spoke with him prior to the game, and he seems right on this one. Throw from Chomalek, and it's caught. and brought down somewhere around the 10-yard line, and a great play by the Raiders. A big catch completion, and that's a big one there for Miguel Dominguez, who had one earlier pop in and out of his hands, but he wasn't letting go of that one, and the Raiders now really into position. Boy, what a solid tackle that was, as he was immediately met and wrapped up by Hayden Matheson. The defensive back got a hold of his leg and just was not letting go. Big drive here to start this second quarter. Chomalik calls for the ball, fakes the pitch, has to roll to the outside, throws it in. Touchdown, Raiders. Paul Romanoff. He usually runs them in, but he'll take the reception this time, and the Raiders, I don't believe, will be denied this time. I don't see any flags on the field. And the Raiders strike first. And if you're wondering what that sound is in the background, that's the lucky cycle getting fired up. They usually usher in the game with that cycle being revved up. When the Raiders get on the field, they'll try for this point after. And look at that, just great timing, and you could see Hayden Day was already signaling that that was a touchdown. Oh, and there's the fake, unless it was just in low in the dirt, and I think that they're going to have to settle for a 6-0 lead here. AJ Carr didn't really have anywhere to go after that one was snapped. But it's great news for Raiders fans, as it looks like the addition of another offensive assistant, Trevor Pelland, is already paying off. Mixing up the play calling here, and I think we're still yet to see that pooch punt, as he called it, which we'll see potentially on a third down play. But the Raiders enjoying something that they don't enjoy too often this season, and that's the lead. And they'll hang on to it for now, getting ready to punt this ball away. So the 6-0 here for the Raiders, and a big important drive to open this second quarter for the Raiders. Hard punt, almost spiraling laterally there. Picked up in the backfield, a strong run by the Kodiaks. The ball is stripped out of the arms. Who has it? I think the Raiders do, as they managed to get on top of that ball, and I think the Raiders recovered the ball. What a great strip. And the Raiders showing up here this afternoon, and it was a very impressive run as well out of the backfield, and it looked like they might have just torn things up right around the 40-yard line. And indeed, it was a good run. Oh, and that was a great move, and I definitely believe that was Jordan Umunkunzi getting a piece of that ball, as the running back just past the 40-yard line, and that ball went wild right across the line there. Bodies flying everywhere. Initially, it looked like the Kodiaks might recover it, but the ball was bouncing, and a great job by Umunkunzi to get a hand on that ball. And indeed, that's Micaiah Williams, the running back. He's down on the field. He was the one that shot up like a rocket. He really accelerated after the 20-yard line, and it looked like he could potentially break right open at the 40, but a great outstretched arm by Umunkunzi. And boy, the Raiders looking solid here today. You know, I was speaking with Michelle Daniels there about their schedule, and she talked about the difficulty of the opening schedule here for the Raiders, and she talked about the difficulty of the back-to-backs with the Valley Huskers, and of course the West Shore Warriors opening day here. Looking forward to a better back end on the latter half of the schedule. Chomalik fakes the throw, looks towards the middle and maybe pick up of a couple there, as he really didn't have anything materialize in front of him, so he just had to duck and cover, and Ben Chomalik will pick up a couple on the play. Once again, a big turnover forced by the Raiders. Jordan Umunkunzi, fantastic job getting his hand on the ball, and Micaiah Williams, he could have had a lot of real estate there if he wasn't slowed down, and even more so by the ball being stripped out. Oh, Chomalik trying to avoid trouble here. He's just going to have to take it right around the 48-yard line, as there was just nowhere to go. So many white jerseys in front of him. And Jules Trench, he's been important here this afternoon for the Kodiaks, and after a very big defensive play by the Raiders, they will turn over the ball here. Oh, and you can see just the block was sufficient initially, but he got a hold of his left leg, and there was nowhere for Chomalik to go. Big play by Jules Trench. Ball kicked to the far side of the field, hits the dirt around the 22, takes a bounce and around the 12, and they're just going to have to get up, down, and cover it. Not much room for anything else, as the Raiders had time to get in there, and it was a very well-placed punt. So at least the Raiders can be happy with that, as they are forcing the Kodiaks to work from deep within their own territory. And that was Taman Pittock on the play. And as I mentioned, there's a couple of his fans in the stands on our near side. And that shot being brought to you courtesy of Orlando. And the wonderful support there for the PG Kodiaks. Lots of fans here today from PG, and it's not a trip to be taken lightly. I grew up just south of Prince George, and it's a very, very it's a long day of travel if you try and encapsulate it into one day, especially when you take into account summer ferries here to the island. That is definitely a dedicated fan base, and of course, as I mentioned, it is their first trip here. So why not watch some history in the making? Quinn Newcomb, hands off. Oh, and he was wrapped up right away, the running back. Now there is a flag on the field, but it was a great job by the defensive line. And I think Kaya Saunders might have been in there first, and he really got a good solid hold on the running back. And we'll have to see what this call is here on the play. Kaya Saunders doing a good job of wrapping him up, but they are saying it's going to be well, it looks like it might have gone against the Kodiaks here. Initially I thought it might be going against the Raiders, but everything seemed to have been well done by the Raiders, and now the Kodiaks having to work from deep in their own end zone here. They're going to try and run it out. Handoff is made. So many jerseys to try and work through. They still hasn't gone down, but somewhere around the 5-yard line, 6-yard line. Actually, maybe they made it up to about the 8 or 9, but a good job by the Raiders to just plug up that hole in the middle. And there really wasn't too much room for Xander Shane to carry that football. Another strong defensive effort today so far by the Raiders defense. George Okori, who 2 weeks ago here had an outstanding day, is in there once again, and he and Declan Robbins have just been monsters on the field early here in the season for the Raiders, and it continues today. Okori with a big wrap-up, and it's forcing the punt situation from deep inside the Kodiak zone. Snap is good, and they're going to kneel and take that safety there. So the Raiders with some good defense help supplement the offense, and should be some good field position coming up here for the Raiders. And that was Cale Cowley, who, as we talked about earlier, was destined to be used in more special team situations. And I think it was the smart course there for him to just take the knee. And again, it was the defensive acumen here on display by George O'Corey and Declan Robbins up front as they just continue to plug up holes and force the running backs to try and beat them one-on-one. So with that, it's 8-0 now for the Raiders. They might not have been able to have got the extra point on their touchdown, but indeed they're up now 8-0 on the back of that 2-point safety. Great job by the defense, and both units are working well here today for the Raiders. These two systems in very similar stages of development. Chomaluk, hands off. And brought down right around the 40-yard line. This Xavier Analike charges forward for what looks to be about 5 yards on the play. Good solid run to open things up. Xavier Analike finding a little bit of room, and he did very well to find that room. He actually made a very good play there to get past Nick Tremblay, which necessitated Riley Ament coming in on the tackle for the Kodiaks. Oh, and there is a ball nearly intercepted, but the Raiders are on top of it no matter what. It was considered an incomplete pass right away on the field, but it was knocked down as that quick play action wasn't able to negate the quick onset of the Kodiaks there. And you could see Jules Trench continues to add to his resume today with another knockdown there, and he's been instrumental for the Kodiaks. He's probably their best player so far here today, Jules Trench. And there's that pooch punt that we were talking about. The ball kicked down near the 35, and it tumbles out somewhere around the 15. And that was the play that Trevor Pelland was talking about here earlier this afternoon, and we get to see its first inception as the Raiders force the Kodiaks deep once again. So a set play there by the Raiders. And what a time to do it if you think about it. It's a great time being up 8-0, and you want to keep the opposition guessing with your playbook, and they've done just that so far. A good mix of throws, runs, and of course the defense has been stepping up quite huge here for the Raiders early on. Ball around the 22. Newcomb looking to his right, throws it. It's intercepted by the Raiders. Big interception as they tried to throw it on the wide out, and there was just no room for the receiver, and he had already planted his cleats. And a great job by the Raiders, and what a place to turn the ball over to. And I think it was Xavier Analike that picked that ball off, but what a great play. No, pardon me, that was Marcus Harvey and the linebacker making a big play. And the Raiders in very good field position here at the 20-yard line. What will they come up with here? Ben Chomaluk, 2 in motion on his left. Hand off. Oh, and just tripped up. That was a good play. Otherwise, there could have been a few extra yards there for Favier Analik, and why not? He's been picking up at least a few yards every carry here so far, and there's a few more to add. Favier Analik on the quick action handoff. But a good defensive play, too, by the Kodiaks to just get his cleat, tripping him up. Gain of about 3 on the play. Chomaluk looking to his right, throws it, and that one's intercepted. And returning the favor are the Kodiaks on that interception, and it's deep, but they have the ball. And a big interception by Hayden Matheson as the defensive back has another big play for the Kodiaks. So on 2 successive drives, Ben Chomaluk and Quinn Newcomb both being intercepted. And it was a well-thrown ball, but it was just, there was just too much coverage there in the backfield. And the Kodiaks did themselves a huge favor with the Raiders were knocking on the door from the 18-yard line. There's the handoff being forced to the near side, and he's brought down out of bounds. As the handoff was initially going to be passed off to Newcomb, but that was a good run by Xander Shane. Shane with his 3rd run of the afternoon. Pass to the near side. Cowley shook one tackle, but good thing for the backup there. As the Raiders making sure that he got wrapped up and brought to the turf there. Kaya Saunders getting the tackle. It was actually a good look off. The throw wasn't quite as good, but it went exactly where it needed to be, and they didn't force Tyson Bennett to come in and tackle, but could have picked up a few extra yards. There's the handoff and brought down somewhere near the 28-yard line. Xander Shane showing that he's definitely got the running legs today, and they're calling on him often. 2nd down here with about 6:20 remaining in the 2nd quarter. First half action, Raiders up by 8. There's the snap and the handoff. Looking for room, finds the outside, and a good tackle right around the 37-yard line, but a big pickup, and that'll move the chains once again for the Kodiaks, as they seem to have some energy now after that pickoff right near their own goal line. Hayden Matheson with a big play initially, and actually the handoff there from Sam Sabine. So Sabine being brought in on the action as well. Be very interested here to see if they get him to throw the football. Snap was high. He hands off. Powerful run to the outside. Are the Raiders going to get there in time? And they do, but not before he trudges his way down to about the 46, 47-yard line of the Raiders. Big run by Makahaya Williams, who was down on the field in some discomfort there earlier when he had the ball stripped from him in the play that led to that 2-point safety play. But he seems to be all right, and he had a very strong run there. But the ball being brought back on the play due to a flag on the field. So the Raiders fortuitous there to have that ball brought back About the 44-yard line is where the Kodiaks will go to work. 2 in motion on the near side. There's a handoff. They're using him once again, but this time he's brought down right away. And who else but George Okori wrapping him up, and maybe a gain of a couple on the play. But nothing like the run he had earlier, Micaiah Williams. Gain of about a yard on that run. Oh, that was very close at the line. He's looking. There's a flag on the field. Thrown deep. Oh, and it's a good cornerback action by the Raiders, as there was 2 contesting that jump ball. And Braden Van Someren, who had some big plays very early in the game, he tried to climb the ladder there, but for the efforts of the backfield, the Raiders doing a great job right around the 40-yard line, their 40-yard line, and the out of bounds jumping up and negating that catch. So some very good back and forth action here. The penalty on the field declined, and a very big down here for the Kodiaks. From their 45. And you could see Sam Sabine was motioning for his wide receivers to get deep and get open. He did have some time to load that one up. Cowley receives that one on the backside and gets away a wobbly punt. Bounces off around the 40, and not much room to run with that one. And I believe that was A.J. Carr that had that return. Pretty much stopped right where the ball was picked up. And that'll be right around the 35-yard line, and the Raiders will go to work with 3:55 here remaining in this first half. And they command an 8-0 lead. Why not come out to the football field, get some sun, get some beverages and good eats? As I mentioned, there's some really good food trucks, and I was talking to some of the staff on the field, and they said they couldn't wait until the ice cream truck came, and now that it was there, I see, oh, and there's some motion right away, and I think that this one is going against the Raiders, so they'll do this one down again with some procedure there, so a little bit deeper in their own territory, but still in control. And they're going to want to try and run this clock effectively with this ball and this drive. Hopefully they can put together a couple here and move the ball downfield. Shout out to Morgan and Nikki and the rest of the team helping out, keeping us fresh and focused up here. There's the snap. Chomaluk fakes the throw. Now he delivers down the middle, and look out. Oh, that truck was coming. And Paul Romanoff, he got a piece of it with his right arm, but had to look out for the oncoming Colton Cannon, and a very fitting last name as the defensive back came onto the scene very quickly there. Even if he would have caught the ball, there would have been some fireworks for sure. Harmon Ahuja lining up right beside his quarterback, Chomaluk. There's the fake handoff. Oh, he's got to scramble out of the pocket. Did they get a piece of him? Not yet. Oh, and he managed to avoid a tackle, and he's out somewhere around the 35-yard line. And he gets a tap there from Hayden Day. He knows that was extreme scrambling at its best, so the Raiders will turn the football over. Harmon Ahuja there, he sold the play action quite well, but Chomalik got tripped up a little bit, and then into finish the tackle there was Nick Tremblay as well as Nick Krosick, getting a good solid piece of his leg there and driving him down. There's the punt, and it's high. Reception made around the 35, runs into a solid wall right around the 55-yard line, and it was just one player, but that's all it was necessary. Big solid hit by Adam Woodward, and that'll stop Jerome Erickson in his tracks. But a good run back nonetheless, and pretty decent field position to open up this drive for the Kodiaks. Thanks for joining us here today at Nanaimo District Secondary School. Great place to be, excellent field, and lots of room to take this one in. And I heard some of the Prince George fans saying, oh, we're so close to the field. Gotta love it up close and personal. In the pocket, Sabine throws it way downfield, and there's a flag. There's two on the field. But it looked like the receiver just got wrapped up there a little bit with Isaiah Rogers, but that was Taman Pittock. As I mentioned earlier, he's got some fans that created a sign here today. Oh, and indeed, as he came across, that's how they got all tangled up there partway in midair, so the call going against the Raiders. And the ball right at the 50-yard line. Will the Kodiaks be able to get on the board here in the first half? Sabine with the handoff. Once again, Williams running, and he's finally brought down around the 43-yard line, maybe 44-yard line. And Williams being used a lot here in the early going. And you can tell he's a little locomotive when he gets that ball in motion. He did have the one turnover on that punt return earlier, but he's looked absolutely solid ever since. Sense of urgency on the field now for the Kodiaks. Just one lining up wide here on the outside. That's Braden Van Someren. Sabine looking, oh, and as he threw that ball, it was a very well-timed mid-air challenge. And the timing just can't be understated as Sam Sabine lets that ball go, and it was actually in the fingertips. And a great play by Jake Smith as he got up and completely discombobulated the play, but it looks like the ball will be spotted. Well, I guess they are calling the Raiders for a penalty on the play. And that moves the chains. Sabine, hands off. And it's another good run. As Williams popping up here with the football. And not too far from the first down. Probably needs a couple more yards to make the first down here, but Williams doing a very good job ever since that early fumble. He's been very steady, and as you can see, just charges downfield. Very strong runner, a little bit lower center of gravity, and just all of the things you like in a good running back. Kodiaks just need a couple here. The handoff, they've got it and more, and finally brought down somewhere around the, looks like the 15, maybe even a little closer here, around the 12-yard line here. Sorry, just having difficulty seeing where they're resetting the chains here. but they are definitely within the red zone area, and it's important times here for the Raiders. 2 in motion on the near side. Sabine just hands off once again. This time a little bit of a hole, and he gets plugged and brought back, and maybe the line of scrimmage and a little bit more. Now there's a flag after the play, and one of the Raiders is indicating that, I think that's Marcus Crisp, indicating that it should go against the Kodiaks, but we'll have to see what the call is here, as Kaya Saunders was in on that play. Gets a little help from Gilman, readjusting his helmet. All right, so second down here, and the call indeed, and Marcus Crisp was right, and it does go against the Kodiaks, so that's giving the Raiders a little bit of breathing room here. 147 to go here in this second quarter. Raiders being urged on by their bench for a big defensive play here. A little bit of motion, and there are flags. Sabine airing it up. 3-man jump ball, and it was nearly intercepted by the Raiders, but it goes incomplete. And Sabine, upset with some of his receiving core, he was telling them he wanted them deeper in the end zone, I believe. But it's we'll have to wait and see what this flag on the play is, but it seemed like there was some sort of motion on the part of the Kodiaks, but we'll await official word here. Caden Wagner also very interested for the Kodiaks on the outcome of this call. So yes, it was a procedure on the Kodiaks, but it's being declined, of course, by the Raiders. So the Raiders defense acquitting themselves very well here early in this one, and definitely some heartening things for them to build on here. Opening up the season 0-4, but they're giving the Kodiaks everything they can handle here. Sabine, 2 at his side. There's a throw into the end zone, and it's caught. It's a touchdown as the Kodiaks make a big play, and reception in the end zone as Sabine finally gets his wish, and he wanted them deep, and that's exactly what he got. And the Prince George supporters come alive as the Kodiaks make a real football game of this one here, heading into this first half. Intermission. Sam Sabine, a better thrown ball this time, and it was right exactly where it needed to be for Caden Wagner. And Wagner, on the last few sets of downs, has been very prominent. And here's the point after attempt. There's a flag on the play as it's kicked up and through the upright.
They blew it dead as soon as it snapped. So
we'll have to see if they will have to redo this one or not, or if it was, no, it looks like maybe the penalty was against the Raiders, so that'll be declined, and we have an 8-7 game here, so just 1 point separating these two, and a minute 23 left in this first half. Is it enough time for the Raiders to string something together here? And quarterback Sam Sabine getting his wish as his receivers finally getting right into the spots and the holes that he was looking for. And it looked like the Raiders had a couple of players that were potentially able to get in the road of that one, but it was a lot better thrown ball than the previous one that was knocked down, and it affords the Kodiaks a touchdown. And one of the players on the field is for the Kodiaks. I believe that's Ryan Nagel. He's in some discomfort, and when he was trying to stand, he was having real difficulty putting any weight. Oh, he's probably got a cramp of some sort, and it kept him from getting up into position on the line. Being helped out by the trainer, stretching that leg out, no doubt. Yeah, you could see him just favoring his right leg, and I'm not sure if it was down. Looks like, I think it's around his calf area somewhere, so it most likely a Charlie horse of some sort. But there was no way he wanted to put weight on it right away, and now he gets up, and interestingly enough, that's the one that already has some type of a tensor bandage on it already. But he gets some support from Brady Harper, and Harper and company will help him off the field, and Pam, their trainer, also assisting. But he definitely looks like he's having some he doesn't even want to put weight on that leg, so be interesting to see. It's good timing in one sense for him right near the half. He'll have a little bit of time to, now he's putting some weight on it, so that's a good sign. Also getting some help from Weston Shields, the defensive lineman. So exactly the way that I figured this game would be when I was speaking with Michelle Daniels there about how of these two teams and their talent levels, and I figured it would be a pretty tight game, and that's exactly where we're at. Reception on the near side. Oh, he rolls off of one tackle and finally brought down. That's Jordan Uman-Kunze, and he's the one that made that big strip play earlier that helped put a couple of points on the board for the Raiders. So just a minute 16 to go here in this first half. 8-7, the narrowest of leads, but it is a lead nonetheless for the Raiders. Chomiluk thought he might send it up the middle. He had Paul Romanoff. Now he's got to scramble to the outside. He escapes one tackle and he runs it out around the 53-yard line of the Kodiaks. J.E. Anderson and Associates has been providing a full suite of land development, legal surveying, and civil engineering services on Vancouver Island and the surrounding Gulf Islands since 1959, with offices in Victoria, Nanaimo, Parksville, and Campbell River. We are here to help your land development project into the end zone. Let's go Raiders. And a shout out to Shea Wakefield, the general manager from J.E. Anderson and Associates. Play underway. Chomiluk throws it low. Was it caught by Harmon Ahuja? It was very low and close to the field, but it looks like Ahuja reeled that one in. Good job by Harmon Ahuja. All right, hurry up offense mode here for the Raiders at the 53. Chomiluk faked the throw, rolls out to his left. He's just going to have to run this out of bounds, and it's exactly where he winds up. Not much. Actually lost maybe a yard or two on the play. Looked like initially he had spotted Riker Sansbury, but Sansbury was covered very quickly. Some exuberant Kodiak fans, and they definitely travel very well. And they were here good and early to make sure they secured their near the sideline spots for this one. Three in motion on the far side, thrown up high and maybe touched the fingers of Harmon Ahuja, but not much else. And with just 41 seconds remaining, the Raiders have a little bit of decision making to do here with how much risk they want to take, if they want to stretch this clock out a little bit. But there is a timeout on the field, and that will be charged against the Raiders. A little bit of hydration here prior to the break. And it'll give the Raiders a little bit of time here to assess the situation. And as I mentioned, right around the 50-yard line. Kodiaks just wanting to, I think, wrap up this half and try and figure out how they're going to attack the Raiders defense here in the second half. Chomaluk gets rehydrated, and now he's back in to the huddle formation. Be very interesting to see what they've drawn up here for this play. One in motion on both sides. And there's that pooch punt as I was talking about, and it's driven deep inside of the zone and rolls just about out of bounds, but they do pick it up. And the referee signaling that it did make it outside. So that new play, as I mentioned, drawn up by Trevor Pelland, the new offensive assistant, who used to play actually a couple of years ago for the Raiders in the Raiders program. And he said it's kind of just come full circle. And I said to him, well, what better place to ply your trade than, a team that you're already familiar with, and you understand the direction that they're trying to take this club. Jay Daniels doing a great job working on the culture of the team and trying to build healthy habits for this club. And the Kodiaks with just 26 seconds to go in the half. Time for a couple of plays maybe. Two in motion on the right. Sabine rolls to the outside. He's just going to take it himself. Tries to make a juke and a little jive there around the 38. There is a flag on the field. But he didn't like what he saw down the far side and decides to run the ball himself. So it is a roughing call against the Raiders. So the ball will be moved downfield, and that only ticked off 8 seconds off the clock. But it does give the Kodiaks a little bit better field position here. So they might still have another 2 downs in them here before we finish up in this first half. Raiders with a 1-point lead. 2 in motion on the near side. Thrown, and that's caught by Van Someren, and he's immediately tackled right around the 50-yard line. Thought for a moment there Van Someren might have been favoring his right leg, but seems to be doing okay. It was a good throw. Van Someren cutting to the inside and met the ball. And immediately wrapped up by Marcus Harvey, who's had a good defensive afternoon here so far. Players getting another quick water break out on the field. And as I mentioned, 26 degrees here in Nanaimo. 2 weeks ago it was 29, and as Michelle Daniels was saying, she picked a bad day to wear jeans. She was off to make an outfit change there just prior to the start of this one. Yesterday the air was kind of affected by the smoke and whatnot that's been plaguing Kelowna. Some of it shifted our way, and it was a little bit overcast all day yesterday, but today's been nothing but great football weather. Handoff there to Williams. Bounces off of one tackle, rolls to the outside. He found some room, and now he's tackled down near the, looks like the 27 or 28-yard line, and they still have 14 seconds on the clock, miraculously. There was 18 to start the play, so it seems to be working out in the favor of the Kodiaks here. really building some momentum here as they start knocking on the door of the VI Raiders end zone. Sabine looked, and he's caught and wrapped up. And a big tackle by Spencer Newens. The offensive lineman gets in there, and he grabbed a hold of his hips, and Sam Sabine was going nowhere. Big defensive play, and that kills some more time off the clock. Just 5 seconds remaining in the half. So a big defensive play, and we've seen a number of those this afternoon as the Raiders have just done a fantastic job of coming up with big defensive plays when they've been needed the most. Spencer Newens, just a great job of reading the body language of Sam Sabine. Sabine tried to sell the juke to the outside. And also instrumental in that tackle, Adam Woodward, the defensive lineman. He got a hold of the jersey near his shoulder pads, and he wasn't letting go for anything. Seems like it's taken forever for these last seconds to tick off the clock, and I don't know. So they're saying 6 seconds, they're saying 6 seconds on the clock. So time for this last one here. Cowley's in motion. Was he onside? He's going deep. He pushes off of the defenders, but he doesn't. He gets one hand on the ball. But what will the flags mean here on this play? As Cowley just went for a straight run towards the goalposts. Maybe a little bit of a very slight slant, but he took off and he was in motion at the line. I'd be surprised if this wasn't against the Kodiaks, as something looked just a little bit offside on the play, but we'll await the official announcement here. And it was indeed procedure against the Kodiaks, so isn't that the amazing thing about football, how slowly or quickly the clock can run, and the Kodiaks have been doing a great job of clock management here. But they're going to need a Hail Mary here on this, what will be the final play of this half. Unless, of course, there are more flags on the play, but they're going to do it from the 40-yard line instead of the great territory they were in. And I don't think it's close enough for them to get all the way there in time, but looks like the Kodiaks are asking for clarification on the call from their bench. So what can happen in 1 second? Well, we're about to find out in a second. What do the Kodiaks have up their sleeve here for this final play of the first half? Van Someren lining up wide. Now two in motion on the inside. Throws it up high, and it is indeed a Hail Mary, but it's intercepted by the Raiders. Here comes the run back down the sideline. There's a flag on the play, and he's brought down somewhere around the 52-yard line, but on the final play, an interception thrown on the Hail Mary, and boy, the Raiders bench has really come alive here, and what energy to go into the first half of intermission with. Lots of body bumps and players jumping up, even the assistant coach is jumping up. I believe for all intents and purposes that will end the first half, but we'll just make sure that there's no miraculous extensions here. Looked like there was at least one call against the Raiders and two against the Kodiaks. At least that's what the signal was on the field. And here's the call on the field. Looks like a couple of roughing calls against the Kodiaks, but indeed there's the flag being waved, and we're up at first half. And what a half it was. It might have been low scoring, but there was lots to be excited about, lots of energy. We had turnovers and a couple of big interceptions thrown by each quarterback. But the Raiders coming out on top with a 1-point lead here as we hit the first half. And the Raiders in unfamiliar territory after 30 minutes of play. It's a good wrap-up. Xander Shane having some work in the backfield, as well as Jacob Wong. Jacob Wong, a late addition to the official roster sheet, and he came alive there with a couple of good runs. And Sam Sabine throwing a touchdown strike towards the end of this first half. And Ben Chomaluk, a good look at him there. So deceptive as he runs out of the pocket. And a great catch by Hayden Day, which helped secure the Raiders some points on the board. Some great fake handoff action there, and boy, Paul Romanoff did an excellent job catching that one, and that set his team up for success as well. Quinn Newcomb being intercepted there, and that was a huge moment for Marcus Harvey, who had an excellent first half for the Raiders. And once again, there's that interception being thrown. Each quarterback took a turn, and that one was intercepted by Jerome Erickson. And that's where we sit after the first half of play. Raiders 8, Kodiak.
I think the team is ingrained in the community here, and it's something that, being part of Vancouver Island Drives and Vancouver Island Raiders, we felt like was a perfect fit. We want to support local teams, local businesses, and we feel like these are the guys to get it done this year. So we're super excited to get involved with the team. So let's go, boys. Let's fire it up. Woo!
Okay, everybody, let's have a great show. Look out, Karen Masson. Got it.
Pickup, who will pass it there to Jesse King, who scores again!
At West Shore Motorsports Park.
Crossing the box for Parmar, and she's done it!
the team is ingrained in the community here, and it's something that, being part of Vancouver Island Drives and Vancouver Island Raiders, we felt like was a perfect fit. We want to support local teams, local businesses, and we feel like these are the guys to get it done this year. So we're super excited to get involved with the team. So let's go, boys. Let's fire it up. Woo!
Okay, everybody, let's have a great show. Jesse's gonna throw. Look out, Karen Masson. Got it.
There from full pickup, who pass it there to Jesse King, who scores again!
At West Shore Motorsports Park.
Crossing the box for Parmar, and she's done it.
And we're back live here at NDSS. The opening second half kickoff performed by the Raiders. And we've got their change of crew here on both sides, personnel for the Kodiaks and for the Raiders. And it looks like they're going to spot the ball around the Raiders' 43-yard line. And that's where the Kodiaks will go to work here. The Raiders with the slightest of leads here. 8-7 to open up the second half. 2 in motion on the far side, but it's the handoff to Williams, I believe, as he... Oh, no, pardon me. That's actually... and there's looks like it might be an injury on the play to the Kodiaks that are immediately signaling the bench to get the trainer out. And someone's down in a heap for the Kodiaks. Be able to get you that number in a moment, but after that handoff and the person in distress, that's Seth Berlin, the running back, and he's pointing to his left calf muscle there. The ball was driven right up the middle, but I think that potentially Xander Shane would try to jump across, and there was a couple of players that collided right in front of that path as Xander Shane carried that ball on the first down, and he's still down on the field, and the trainer assessing looks like his ankle and maybe tibia area there. So a tough way to start the second half for the Kodiaks. You never want to see a player go down early like that. As a couple of teammates head out to the field, and they'll most likely be giving him an assist up off the field. As Seth Berlin accepts the hands and the help. And he's definitely favoring that left leg. And that's where you need good, strong buddies that can help just lift you right up off the ground. As Demaldrick Ababio helps Weston Shields out there. And the Kodiaks now going to work from about the looks like the 38-yard line here. Sabine gets a look he wants. He dropped the football, but it was picked back up by the Kodiaks, and what a fortunate grab that was. The ball bounced quite high off the field, and it was right after the handoff, but recovered nicely there by the Kodiaks. And you can see as he tried to grab that, wow, he did such a good job to recover that ball himself. As play back underway, another handoff. Williams on the near side, he breaks one tackle, and then he's finally brought down around the 22-yard line. And a good run there for Williams. There is a flag on the play once again, and one of the players actually for the Kodiaks actually had his helmet off there for a moment as they discuss this flag that's on the field. Makahaya Williams, the running back, he's been important today for the Kodiaks, and he continues to gain real estate here in this second half. Trying to ascertain what the call on the field is, but I do see the head referee backing up, so it looks like it will be a call against the Kodiaks, and that will probably bring about potential punt situation. Looks like Cowley's back there, so indeed they are going to punt this away. Although he did a trick play earlier and kept the ball himself, tried to run it. Now he receives it in the backfield, just in front of the center line. Kicks it low as it bounces. Oh, out of bounds, but recovered by the Raiders, but they will be working from deep in their own zone after A.J. Carr received that one. Had a little bit of trouble with it, though. Wasn't able to add any yardage after the pickup. I almost believe that that ball was punted low and directly for that specific reason. But he did a good job to make sure that he had it covered. And immediately on the spot was challenged by Shandon Donovan, the defensive back, getting in there very quickly. So the Kodiaks with a few trick plays of their own, and we saw 2 weeks ago how important those onside kicks were for the Valley Huskers, and today they're important too. There's the handoff. Maybe a gain of a couple yards on the play. Favier Analike getting that handoff there from Ben Chomalik. Chomalik's only had to run a few times today on his own, try and move the yardsticks, but very good variety of plays being thrown here at the Kodiaks by the offensive assistant and one of the new ones in Trevor Pelland. Nice to have that variety, and they're benefiting from it now. Chomalik receives a snap, has a look deep. Day turned around, but the ball was delivered nicely right into the arms of Riker Sansbury. And Sansbury, he had a good start to the first half and then was very well covered after that. But on this particular play, it looked like they might go deeper for Hayden Day, but good job by Sansbury to just make sure he picked that one up on the run. Makes a quick cut. And he's brought down there by Nick Tremblay, the defensive back. And there's a good look at the Kodiaks bench. Handoff. Good cut through the middle. And the Raiders doing a good job running this ball on the ground. Once again, Favier Analike doing some yeoman's work there, picking up a few more yards, and it looks like now they're just a couple shy of the first down, so a very important down here for the Raiders. 8-7 here early in this second half. Lots of football remaining, and both teams trying to pump each other up from the bench. Favier Analike once again receives it, but he runs into a couple of big blocks, but he's still on his feet as 4 or 5 come in from the backfield, and now a flag is thrown from that backfield. Boy, did he ever get a lot of help from the center. Spencer Newens did a great job of just forcing the issue right up the middle after he snapped the ball. And he's a big part of the reason why Favier Analike was able to roll off of that first hit. But it looks like a face mask against the Kodiaks, I believe. So this is going to move the chains considerably for the Raiders. That was a good hard snap, and it really allowed the quick handoff. And another good block up front. Robin Rydberg, the offensive lineman, he did a good job blocking and forcing the Kodiaks into a penalty situation. Analike once again finds some room up the middle. He's past the center line, and he's wrapped up around the 45, and another great run. Favier Analike coming alive here in the second half. And you can't miss him. He's got those bright green cleats, and he almost makes them look like lightning when he makes runs like that. And the first half didn't feature him quite as much, but look at that cut to the inside, and he avoided 2 tackles before finally being dropped down to the turf. And in on the tackle, that was Coulter Cannon, the defensive back. 3 in motion on the far side, but once again the handoff to Analike. He bounces off of 1 tackle, but he lost momentum, and he's wrapped up right around the line of scrimmage. And the Raiders will be looking at a 2nd and 10 situation here. Ben Chomaluk looking over towards the bench. A lot more energy and movement over there on the Raiders bench than there was a couple of weeks ago. Even though they were putting up some points, they defensively they've tightened up. Hayden Day on the near side. He's matching up against Aiden Simpson. Chomaluk has room in the pocket. Now he's got to get away. Oh, he nearly got caught from behind. Now he throws, but it might be... Oh, it's complete! Down near the 10! And it's considered out right around the 10, but a great catch, and boy, what patience by Ben Chomaluk. Oh, he looked like he was in trouble for a moment, but there's that scramble potential that he has. And he got the happy legs going, as they call them, and he made enough room, and he found the real estate, and the catch was right on the money. As we saw, they called it immediately out, and they're asking for some clarification by the Kodiaks bench. But he uses that time, and he just manages to fade Jason Craig. And he throws that ball just over two heads. Oh, and look at that, running into each other. And a great reception by Miguel Dominguez. Now he scrambles once again. He throws into the end zone. Oh, he was touched. Oh, what a great diving effort by the Kodiaks to break up that play. Otherwise, that was touchdown material for Harmon Ahuja. What a great hand that one was. And you can see that's Carson Flynn. And he just, that was a diving, outstretched hand. Otherwise, that was probably a completion. Wow, he really spun off of that tackle, and then two Kodiaks running into each other on the run. Oh, and pardon me, I believe that was Hayden Matheson with the touch, outstretched touch, and an important down here for the Raiders. Chomaluk had a little bit of trouble, but now he has a look, and he throws it. Oh, it got tipped. Something happened to the ball on the way through, and the Analyte's asking for a call on the field. It looked like he was interfered with, but I don't believe he's going to get one. There's no flag on the field, and that's going to bring about the punt team here. So they may have to settle for 3 points if they're able to drive this one through the uprights, but some excellent defense on the part of the Kodiaks. And Matheson, that play can't be overstated enough. He had to stretch right out to get his fingertips on that Nike football. Punts it, and it's good for 3 points, and that widens the lead to 4 for the Raiders. They would have liked more, and of course it would have been pretty exciting for the bench for them to be returning with 7 points, but they'll settle for the 3 as they open this lead up a little bit here in this tight contest with the Prince George Kodiaks, who are well represented today. There's some of them there, and lots of smiles. As I mentioned, there's good eats and lots of good things to drink here as the sun starts to hide a little bit behind Mount Benson and the field floodlights come on. They're not as pronounced right now, but they will be here by the start of the fourth quarter. I can tell you that for sure. As the dynamics on the field change, it's not so bright out there. Can be a boon or a blessing in some situations. But the Raiders will kick this ball off to the Kodiaks. And a good look at Riley Ament. He had a big play in the second quarter. Might not be the highest scoring, but it's a very entertaining football game nonetheless. And why not? 2 very important points up for grabs here today. Boy, would it ever change the dynamics of the season for the Raiders if they were able to secure a couple. Caught in the backfield, now rushing to the near side. Well supported by 4 players, but his legs all wrapped up, and he gets hammered to the turf. And in with a solid hit. That's Tyson Bennett came in, and once that one leg was wrapped up, Bennett had a stationary target and he delivered. Good job by the Raiders to just keep the momentum at a minimum here, although I do see a flag in the backfield, and it'll be interesting to see what the call is. Wow, what a great job there as Chris Fontaine had a hold of what I guess maybe just his hip pad or the pants, and the chains are being moved back, so it is against the Kodiaks, which increases the difficulty here. We know that they haven't responded as well with the football when they've been pushed deep into their own zone so far. Handoff, a little bit of a fake throw there, but carries it up to about the 23-yard line, and still shy of a first down, but there's certainly a good run on the part of the Kodiaks, and they're going to need that very much here in this second half. And again, Williams being tasked with that ball and the run, as he was wrapped up by Caleb Charlton. Flag on the play, trying to roll to the outside, and good job by Cole Dumont as Dumont got in there. Micaiah Williams being used often here in this one. He had that one early fumble on the punt return, but he's been sterling ever since, and you can read his body language there as he throws his hands up. And I believe this one is going to be going against the Kodiaks.
Went to the 27.
So it is indeed against the Kodiaks, so their task becomes a little more difficult here on the penalty. So it looks like it'll be about 2nd and 7 now for the Kodiaks. Sabine talking things over with his running back. 2 in motion on the near side, and it is a quick wide out. Received and caught. Will he find room on the sidelines? And no. And a good job by the number 8, Caden Wagner, the receiver. And also a good job on the part of the Raiders, Isaiah Rogers, to make sure he didn't incur any additional penalty on the play. This game could very well boil down to which side is more disciplined here in this second half. Wagner gets the first down. Play action fake, and the dish out to Williams. Williams escapes 2 tackles, and now he gets pushed forward by Cowley right to the center line, and these chains are starting to move now. Micaiah Williams going to work once again, and this time it was the play action fake. Brings them right up to the center line. Little shovel pass action, and Williams was away. And again, a good job by Jacob Gilman making sure he got wrapped up. The snap is a bit high, but they get the handoff away once again to Williams. And he makes his way to the 50-yard line, a gain of about 5 on the play. Williams really emerging as the featured back here in this Prince George offense. And he's been money so far today. A lot of carries and a lot of work. There's a for sure procedure against the Kodiaks, and they're reaching for the ball. They make it up to about the 51, but I believe this one is going against the Kodiaks. And the Raiders celebrating there as I believe they forced the motion at the line of scrimmage. Cole Dumont with a good play And Jacob Gilman, a warrior as always. He's been excellent today. The defense for the Raiders shining brightly here this afternoon. So it is a roughing call against the Kodiaks. I thought it might be procedure, but nonetheless, the ball will be spotted right around the center line. Just about 10 minutes gone here in this third quarter. 11-7, the Raiders lead. Oh, he's airing it up. The ball is deep on the near side for Van Someren, and he got one hand on it. And the Raiders celebrating a great effort there as Nathan Haliuk makes a big play. He gets his hand on it, and the intended receiver was Braden Van Someren. And then Someren, he's got good height to him, and he got up and got a piece of that ball, but just not enough to haul it in. Oh, and you could see he just got his right hand on it, and he was claiming that he was interfered with, but I believe he touched the ball before anything else touched him. An important down for the Raiders as they get ready to return this punt. And they send it to the far side of the field, bounces around. There's A.J. Carr. Makes it up about 7 yards, and he gets tripped up there. And that's where the Raiders will go to work. Right around the 15-yard line. And I'll tell you, if you're a fan here at the NDSS field, it's pretty hard to not want to leave your seat and go get some of the incredible smelling food that's coming from these trucks. I don't know if anyone else is catching that, but wow, the field just comes alive. Something about summer and catching a game live, it gets my appetite wet. Raiders. Do they have a big drive in them? Fake action to the outside, nearly intercepted, but a good catch by the Raiders. And I believe that was Paul Romanoff, or was that Harmon Ahuja? Yes, it was Ahuja that made that reception. He's so good when he's got coverage on him. He is definitely not the tallest player, but he finds ways to get to the ball quick. And you saw how quickly that fake handoff, and it was thrown. He shed himself of one tackle, but immediately there, Nick Tremblay, as I mentioned, he's got some fan support here today, and he comes up with a big tackle to negate a big return. 2 in motion on the near side. Chomala gets away from 1, now 2, looking downfield. He's just going to have to run. Oh, he actually throws it, and it's intercepted. Maybe he should have hung on to the ball, and the Raiders turned the ball over as it was intercepted around the 35-yard line. And that's a big interception. Once again, I mentioned Nick Tremblay, and this time he might have had a taste of that first throw to Harmon Ahuja, but he gets a full drink on this one, and he really reverses the fortunes here for the Kodiaks. Oh, he was so close to being wrapped up there by Nick Krawczyk, and Krawczyk forced him to slow down, though, and that such a tall player jumping up. I believe that ball was intended for Hayden Day, and Day had to get going to catch up with Nick Tremblay. There's a flag on the field here as they force the ball forward, and it looked like there was something in the backfield as well, but it was the near side official that threw the flag. But it might be going against the Raiders here. Oh, no, pardon me. It actually does go against the Kodiaks, and the penalties decline. So, as I mentioned, discipline's going to be a big factor here in this second half. The Raiders up by 4 points. Sam Sabine hangs on, decides to run it down the middle, and he's caught and wrapped up. But he gets a few yards in the process. And I believe that was Ruben Bonsu helping get in on that one as the Kodiaks change up their personnel on the field. Sabine did a good job of selling that first throw. And a good tackle there by Declan Robbins. They're going to try for the 3 points here to make it a 1-point game. There's the snap. Fans trying to throw them off, but I believe it's a 1-point game as the Kodiaks narrow it again, and we're right back where we were as we headed to the halftime. So the team's trading a field goal here in this third quarter. The Raiders were so close on a couple of plays to getting the ball into the end zone, but Hayden Matheson with a huge outstretched knockdown in the end zone kept the Raiders from having a more significant lead. And once again, just 1 point separating these two clubs. And maybe quite fitting, as I mentioned, considering the parity between these two teams. So the ball spotted. It looks like it'll be around the 45 for this kick. And the Raiders moving things around a little bit. A.J. Carr not back there to receive this one. And it's an onside kick attempt. I think it bounced off of one of the Raiders. There is a flag on the play from the far side official, as it turned into basically a jump ball there right near the out of bounds. I don't know if it was insufficient yards or... It was hard to say from this vantage point if one of the Raiders actually did touch it, but we'll get the call here. So it looks like they might have to redo the kick here. There was something that was levied against the Kodiaks there on that play as the Raiders await word on where they'll place this ball. So it looks like it'll be around the 53-yard line for the Raiders. And not bad field position to start with. Hayden Day on the near side. The handoff made. And Xavier Analyte carrying the ball. Almost exactly to the 55-yard line. So it'll be second and about 4 here. Maybe even a little less. Second and maybe 3.5 or so. But regardless, the Raiders with another big down. Can they keep this drive alive? One in motion on both sides. Ball's thrown, and it's caught by Harmon Ahuja, and he's pushed out of bounds immediately. And I think he got enough for the first down. It'll be close, but it looked like it was very close to a first down, and indeed the referee points downfield, and it is a first down for the Raiders, and it's important for them to string together some plays here. The Kodiaks getting the most recent points up on the board, that 3 points from the field goal, making it a 1-point game once again as Harmon Ahuja gets tackled there by Tegan Morin. Playback underway. Handoff, but this time it's not Analyte, and there is a flag on the field as he gets right up to about the line of scrimmage. And that's Alexandra Andrew, the running back, getting a little bit of work, but I think he might be in some discomfort as he heads off the field. And it looks like that one is going against the Raiders, so they're going to have a little extra work to do here.
To the 52. There's no 52, but it was a procedure, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I was touched at 55.
I believe it was a procedure call against the Raiders, and they'll be working from right around the center line here. They've got some work to do. Once again to Analike. Analike gets wrapped up and brought down right around the 52, so they make up some of the yards, but they still have a good number of yards to go here to get back to first down territory. With just 11 seconds remaining here in the third quarter and a flag in the backfield, as I mentioned. And it goes against the offensive line, so we keep preaching the importance of the discipline, and the outcome of the game definitely will be riding on which team can just keep those flags in the referees' back pockets as much as possible when trying to drive this ball. Now all the way back at their 45. Ben Chomaluk, two in motion on the far side. He swings it out to Harmon Ahuja, makes the reception, gets up to the 50 into the center line, and he gets dropped down near the out of bounds line and right up to the center, but that should be, it looks like they've let it count down potentially to be the final play of the third quarter. It seems like nearly every play here in this second half has had a flag on the play. Well, this indeed should be the last play of the third quarter as Ben Chomaluk surveys the scene. Looking downfield, puts it through the middle, but it's too low and unable to pick that one up. Colton Zepik unable to make that reception. The ball was just too much in front of him, and that'll bring a change of personnel as we also change over from third to fourth quarter. Raiders with a very meager 1 point difference here, but so far they've never trailed in this contest. Some interesting play action too on both teams' part as both are reaching deep into the playbook. The couple of interesting punts for both sides, an onside kick attempt which was so effective against the Raiders 2 weeks ago when the Valley Huskers were in town. And then, as I mentioned, Trevor Pelland introducing the pooch punt, as they call it, and timing just everything on that kick. And they even asked the referees before the game to keep an eye out for that set play. This one will be punted away. It's a high kick. So it lands near the 45 and bounces out of bounds, or pardon me, near the 35. And that's where the Kodiaks will take over the ball. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening on bcfctv.com or Telus Optic on channel 1981. A little bit of discussion from the officials down on the field. Kodiaks with the ball now. Handoff once again to Micaiah Williams. Finds some room. He broke one tackle, and now he's met somewhere around the 47-yard line. And another good run. Oh, it's very close to the first down, and I think he might have even got it. And indeed, it looks like they're going to spot the new chains here. Williams so heavily featured here in this backfield. And it took all of the strength that Nathan Halyuk could muster. Got that final assist from Declan Robbins, but he's a hard running back to stop. Quick action to the outside. Evades one tackle and a second, and he gets pushed out of bounds right around the 54-yard line. So the Kodiaks starting to put together a bit of a drive here now on the backs of their running prowess. Makahaya Williams coming in quite heavily today. But there on that play, they switched it up, and Caden Wagner getting some work. Now they dish it off once again. Williams stumbling forward, and he makes his way to right around the 45-yard line as the Kodiaks are really surging forward now. And of note, they haven't been penalized on the last couple of plays. So the Kodiaks are kind of dialing in this offensive line and doing it all the way that the coach draws it up. Jamie Borum, head coach. Fake handoff. There's the dish. Oh, Williams had to reach behind him, but he still came up with it. Uh-oh, the Raiders are in trouble, but he gets caught from behind there. And a good job by Jake Smith to make sure he got Williams' jersey and dragged him down to the turf. It was a good run to the outside, and now Makahaya Williams really becoming a factor in this one. Raiders having a difficult time containing him, and he even had to reach behind him for that shovel dish there. Turned around, surveyed the field. Just such good acceleration. Now has the ball once again, rolls off a 1 or 2, but a good job by the Raiders. And coming up out of that pile, I believe that was Kamiar Muhammad, the linebacker, reaching up and grabbing his leg and making sure he had no more forward momentum. Looks like a gain of a couple on the play. Sabine rolling out to his right, throws the ball, and it's caught near the sidelines and pushed out of bounds, but not before he picks up what looks like the first down. And the chains are really starting to move now for this O-line of the Prince George Kodiaks. Sabine had to jump up and catch that ball, but a nice release. And he throws it right into the arms of Aiden Lewis for a big reception, and now they're knocking on the door once again. 2 in motion on the near side. There's a flag on the play. There's a handoff. Williams decides to try and jerk up the middle, but he gets wrapped up. And some good work in there by Alexandra Andrew to make sure that he supported his backfield. Looks like maybe at least 1 or 2 substitution here for the Raiders. And it looks like it is a call going against the Kodiaks. Looks like just a 5-yard call. Some of the fans cheering defense. And that's exactly what the Raiders need to come up with now. Quick look at Carson Briere, one of the wide receivers. 2 in motion on the near side. Sabine's looking towards him, throws it, and it's in and out of the arms and hits the turf. Good coverage there on the near side. Nathan Halyuk, he's been solid today, and he really forced the issue there. The ball might have been underthrown just a little bit, but he certainly had opened up a little bit of room around himself on that cut to the inside, and Sam Sabine had it go through his arms and into the dirt. Big play here for both clubs. 2 under center. Sabine takes a snap onto the near side, throws it up high, and that's received by Carson Briere. As I mentioned, that's That's who made the catch, but it's not much more than where the original line of scrimmage was. So looks like they're going to have to try and make a field goal here. The Kodiaks. Good reception there by Briere, but such good read from the backfield. And Nathan Halyuk just having a monster of a third quarter here. There's the kick attempt, and it looks good from here. And for the first time in the game, the Prince George Kodiaks have a lead. It's only 2 points, but it is a lead nonetheless with 9:40 to go here in this final quarter. J.E. Anderson and Associates has been providing a full suite of land development, legal surveying, and civil engineering services here on Vancouver Island and the surrounding Gulf Islands since 1959, with offices in Victoria, Nanaimo, Parksville, and Campbell River. We are here to help you get your land development project into the end zone. Let's go Raiders. Two-point difference here in this one. Very interesting third quarter, which saw the teams trade a field goal, and now another field goal kicked by the Kodiaks. And the Raiders looking to try and get something done here. They'll be starting at their own 35. Harmon Ahuja lines up on the near side. Moves in a little tighter. There's the run play. And a good job getting to the outside and making the first down. That's Paul Romanoff. And Romanoff was waiting just for his opportunity, and what a great play as he turned on the Jets. And that's a very important down, but I see another flag on the field. Oh, and it looks like it's going against the Raiders, so that might negate that good run by Paul Romanoff. And that's got to be a little deflating for Romanoff, a big play to get this set of downs started, but called back on a flag. And the officials consulting with one another if there was anything else of note on that play. Looks like it was some type of roughing call against the O-line, so Raiders assessed a yardage penalty here, and they're trying to figure out exactly where they'll start with the ball here. So the chains get moved in the direction that the Raiders would prefer them not to go, towards their backfield, but they'll have first down here. From their own 30-yard line. Ben Chomaluk takes the snap. Going deep downfield. Looking for Romanoff, and he just couldn't quite get it there. Good coverage by the cornerbacks, and the Raiders, boy, would that have been an explosive play, but just so difficult to get it deep enough in that short period of time. But they've really been employing Paul Romanoff here in this fourth quarter. It has just over 9 minutes left remaining.
It's in the backfield though, so
yeah, it was a well-thrown ball, but once again, they get a hand on it, and that's Carson Flynn reaching up and knocking that one down. Good job by Carson Flynn. keeping the Raiders from completing a big pass there. But 1st and 10 from around the 45, so the Raiders given a little bit of reprieve there on that play with the penalty call. Again, discipline factoring in huge in this game. 2 on the near side. The fake handoff to Romanoff sends it to the near side. Oh, and it was in and out of the arms of Riker Sansbury, but he had to turn and he was hearing footsteps behind him. As oncoming was Aiden Simpson and Tegan Morin, as that duo got there in a hurry. And you can see smiles all over the face of Tegan Morin there, the defensive back, as he heads into the huddle on the back of that great play. Just a note, you see that BC Lions sticker on the back of the helmet of some of the Kodiaks, and a shout out to the BC Lions. Some of their, a good portion of their 50-50 draw proceeds supporting football here in British Columbia. Without them, oh, there's a flag on the play. Chomaluk looking down the middle, took a bounce off an arm, and Paul Romanoff tried to dive behind him to catch that tip ball. What will this flag bring? And I believe that was Coulter Cannon that got a piece of that one. And the Raiders probably fortunate that it wasn't picked off. So the penalty against the Raiders is declined. And that should bring out the punting unit here. That was immediately right off of the line of scrimmage. And you could see it bounce off of the shoulder. I believe that was Nick Tremblay, who, again, he's one of the tallest Kodiaks and one of the tallest players on the field for that matter, as it bounces off of his shoulder pad, and Romanoff, just as nimble as he is, was unable to reach back and corral that one. High punt by the Raiders. Takes a bounce around the 35 and brought down immediately on the tackle. And Favier Analike was in there very quickly, as was Kamyar Mohammed. And now a flag being thrown, and this might go against the Kodiaks when they were trying to appeal for a call. And I think that the Kodiaks might be assessed a penalty here for their extra communication with the near side official. There were 2 of them there protesting the play on the field. I think they were trying to call for a horse tackle of sorts, but now the thing there on that play, Jerome Erickson, as he received that ball, you saw him duck down, and I think that factored into the referee's decision. When you duck down like that and you change your the level of your body, the person that's reaching for you, they have to adjust as well. And so this is really moving, just like the Raiders had a couple of minutes ago. This penalty is really driving the Kodiaks back, and and you have to feel too for some of the players on the field. Things happen so quickly, and they don't always have the best vantage point. And I'm sure to them that that's exactly what they saw. But as I mentioned, ducking down a little bit, Jerome Erickson, as he returned that ball, there's the handoff. This time it's not to Williams, though, and they drive it up. They get a good few yards here, maybe 5 on the play, maybe 6. And it's a decent little run here. And it looks like they'll spot it. Yeah, it looks like they picked up about 4 on the play. They spot it at the 26. Big defensive down now here for the Raiders. 2 in motion on the far side. They hand off, though, and they clog up the middle, and that one maybe a yard or 2 past the line of scrimmage. And Xander Shane, the running back, he had a little bit of room, but once again he elected to go to his left. And that's a tough place to go when you've got someone like George Okori waiting for you to make that move. Gilman trying to pump the troops up here. Important set of downs with just over 7 minutes to go. 2-point spread favoring the Kodiaks. And there's some procedure on the field now. Is it the Raiders being called offside, or was it a motion by the Kodiaks? And the Kodiaks are very interested in this call, as it could have really gone either way. It looked like they were trying to goad the Raiders into an offside.
Offside on this.
So it will go against the Raiders, so they did jump the ball a little bit. So 5 yards spotted for the Kodiaks, improving their field position a little bit here as they move it to the 36. Sam Sabine with the handoff to Williams. Williams met immediately, and he's tackled, but there's going to be a penalty on the play as his helmet goes popping off. But his teammates telling him, you got what you needed for us anyways. And Williams was immediately met by Caleb Charlton, and the linebacker, he gets called for the call that the Kodiaks were appealing for on a couple of plays ago against Jerome Erickson. And again, the flags have been very prolific here in the second half. So the chains move again for the Kodiaks, and that brings them to the 46-yard line. Several officials retrieving their flags. George O'Corey, he's set here. Fans cheering for defense again. Handoff to Williams again. Tries the middle, but he finds a dynamic duo. And this time there's no horse tackle for Caleb Charlton as he gets in there and wraps up Williams, who's still down holding the football. And I think he went down pretty hard there, as actually it looks like maybe that was even his mouth guard that came loose. He's breathing, but no movement from the running back as he got wrapped up and pushed back a couple of yards. And I think as he was driving forward, I think he was met by a pretty heavy hit. He's just such a determined runner. Yeah, and you can see his mouth guard comes out before he goes down to the ground, so I don't know exactly what happened, but it was certainly Declan Robbins was solid in on the tackle, and this is the second time that Williams has been down on the field and needing attention. Probably some tense moments here for the Kodiaks bench as they look on. Their star running back, and he's really still rather motionless down on the field as he's being attended to by their trainer Pam and some additional staff there as the officials talk over the play that was. And again, I talked about the two towers of power there on the back line, both of them in the 90s, one being George O'Corey and number 93, Declan Robbins. And Robbins stopped him right in his tracks. Robbins, such a big man. And he had him completely bear hugged before they both went to the turf. And then there was the assist by Caleb Charlton. So between those two, quick shot there. You saw Jay Daniels on a knee as they watch on as well. And certainly the Prince George Kodiaks fans maybe holding their breath a little bit. Their star running back with his helmet removed there down on the field, and just over to the right you also see some concern there from Michelle Daniels. She's out on the field just there to help assist any way that they can. I think they might have given him a splash of water or something. But as I mentioned, you could see his, what I believe to be his mouth guard, come out well before he hit the ground, which is not typical. Normally it's dislodged or comes out sometimes as they hit the turf. And with about 6.5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, it's quite an interesting pivot here in just overall momentum, and I'm sure that the Kodiaks are crossing their fingers that that their fallen teammate is able to get to his feet here at some point. But if I had to guess, I would lean towards that he had the wind knocked out of him when he collided with Robbins, and that would explain the mouth guard coming out prematurely before he even hit the ground. And he's such a strong running back too that his forward momentum, even after he collides, oh, you see he kind of dropped his head down too on the replay as he just saw Robbins coming into his peripheral vision. But I have to say, I'm definitely concerned for him, and I hope that they're able to get him back to health here soon. I think it would be nothing short of miraculous if he did get inserted back into the game at this point, considering the length of time he's been on the field. And certainly with the new updated concussion protocol that the league has employed in training camp, even I noticed that they always had an associate on the field. I think we're going to step aside here as they tend to our fallen comrade on the field, and we'll be back shortly here to wrap this fourth quarter up. Don't you go away though, we got to finish coming up.
I think the team is ingrained in the community here, and it's something that, being part of Vancouver Island Drives and Vancouver Island Raiders, we felt like was a perfect fit. We want to support local teams, local businesses, and we feel like these are the guys to get it done this year. So we're super excited to get involved with the team. So let's go, boys. Let's fire it up. Woo!
Okay, everybody, let's have a great show. Look out, Karen Masson. Got it.
There from full pickup, who will pass it there to Jesse King, who scores again!
At West Shore Motorsports Park.
Crossing the box for Parmar, and she's done it.
I think the team is ingrained in the community here, and it's something that, being part of Vancouver Island Drives and Vancouver Island Raiders, we felt like was a perfect fit. We want to support local teams, local businesses, and we feel like these are the guys to get it done this year. So we're super excited to get involved with the team. So let's go, boys. Let's fire it up. Woo!
Okay, everybody, let's have a great show. Look out, Karen Masson. Got it.
There from full pickup, who passes there to Jesse King, who scores again!
At West Shore Motorsports Park.
Crossing the box for Parmar, and she's done it.
Are you tired of other dealerships fumbling your deals?
I know I am. Raising Canada's #1 Google rated dealership at VIDrives.ca. Do you want a dealership to tackle the banks and get you the lowest rates possible? I know I do. That's why you gotta visit VIDrives.ca today to buy a car the easy way. 3 steps and the car's right at your door.
Do you want a touchdown to savings and intercept a great deal?
I know I do, with over 600 pre-owned vehicles right here, right now, and 18 lenders. I mean, there's nowhere else to shop.
think the team is ingrained in the community here, and it's something that, you know, being part of Vancouver Island Drives and Vancouver Island Raiders, we felt like was a perfect fit. We want to support local teams, local businesses, and we feel like these are the guys to get it done this year. So we're super excited to get involved with the team. So let's go, boys. Let's fire it up. Woo!
Okay, everybody, let's have a great show. Yes, he's going to throw. Look out, Karen Masson. Got it.
There from full pickup, who will pass it there to Jesse King, who scores again!
At West Shore Motorsports Park.
Crossing the box for Parmar, and she's done it.
Nami siya di ngayon katong na aquatic drift. Abot ng pilot. Kaya sa bila soy, kaya abot. Di nila maalsa kay delikado ba? Bali siguro.
So we do apologize.
Huh? 6 minutes pa niya, 6 minutes. Budagan pa mga pila ka oras. More ni emergency nga hinay kaya malihok. Balik ko rin siya gid. Ang gagawa kaya iya pa na sila patawa lang. Ani sige lang overtime yan.
So we do apologize for the delay, and as you can see on your screens there, the local BCAS service here to help Makahaya Williams up off of the field, as this isn't done too often, but they do have the ambulance basically out just past center field to load up on a stretcher, and I'm sure that they'll be using the spine board as well just to make sure of everything. And little known fact, I actually do work at the local Nanaimo Regional General Hospital, so I'm very familiar with a lot of the ambulance attendants, and I can tell you that they are all very highly trained and very efficient. And of course, it's not a scene that anyone ever wants to have to see, but they are preparing the board, and they will try and keep him as immobilized as possible as they load him up, and they'll take him over to 1200 Dufferin Crescent to be assessed. And I can also tell you firsthand that the staff there and the doctors and physicians are top-notch, and Mr. Williams will receive some incredible care while he's there. Of course, being a General Regional Hospital. They're well equipped for traumas of any sort, and also have very expensive equipment with which to work. So he will be in the best hands, and we certainly do wish the best for Mekahaya Williams and his family as they deal with this injury here. Both teams still trying to remain active, and you have to take into account that it's been a hot day as well, so these players are really digging deep into the energy reserves here, but they're trying to keep it all stretched out, keep moving. Certainly thoughts go out for the Prince George Kodiak fans here too that have been able to bear witness to his incident there out near the 45-yard line, where he's been for a good little bit here. But his teammates remain resolved and want to try and maintain the lead that they have in this game, and I'm certain that soon we'll be back to rounding out the final 6.5 minutes of this fourth quarter. Williams with many touches today. He's factored in, and there's probably not a fan here that doesn't recognize number 31 out on the field. He's been responsible for a lot of yardage picked up today. I'm not sure what the final tally will be, but I bet you he's had probably somewhere in the neighborhood of easily 100-yard, maybe 100-yard plus day here at Nanaimo District Secondary School. And it definitely appears like they're taking every caution down on the field as they get him set for the stretcher and the support spine board. And as a matter of fact, I do recognize one of the female BCAS attendants there down on the field as they get him turned onto his left side gingerly and now set onto the spine board. When I was speaking to Michelle Daniels prior to the game, she was telling me about the camaraderie that this organization has with the Prince George Kodiaks. A lot of similarities as the Kodiaks have come into the league, and they worked together, I believe, 2 years ago during one of the conference finals, and she was talking to me about how the schedule will be next season, that the VI Raiders will actually make the trip up north to Prince George, I believe it'll be their turn to do more of the travel. This season, more of it is incumbent upon the Kodiaks. But she talked about the great people in the organization, and she really enjoyed working with them 2 years ago at one of the conference finals. And just give you an idea of the upcoming schedule. Week 6, it's a bye week for the Raiders. Week 7, they'll be in the Okanagan taking on the Sun. Week 8, they'll get a chance at some more redemption against the Rebels. And week 9, back here against the Langley Rams. And you can hear the applause now as the fans applaud Mekahaya Williams being loaded up on the stretcher. And he's headed over to 1200 Dufferin Crescent, where he'll get some of the best care available here on the island. Some tense moments, of course, for the Prince George Kodiaks team, as teammates definitely know the importance that he has A featured running back, always a very difficult position.
Once again, put your hands together for number 31, running back.
And I've got some good news for the fans that I just spoke with Cable Atwell, and they're just taking him to the hospital for precautionary measures. They said that he's got good movement of his limbs and everything, so that's a very good sign, and very encouraging words from Mr. Atwell, as they just taking him for precautionary reasons. So it's that's definitely a good sign and some good news for Kodiak fans. I'm sure that many of them would be overjoyed here to get some thumbs up regarding his progress and his movement here tonight. So that is a very good sign and very encouraging. And as we mentioned, certainly all best wishes for him and his family as it's a tough game. You know, I was thinking about what Jay Daniels said to me a few weeks ago, that everything you do out on the field hurts, that there's a cost for every play. And he said, you know, the best players know and understand that, and they recognize that it's just a part of the game, and that there's a price to pay for every big completion, every big run. And that's exactly where it's at now. But his teammates certainly have some more business to finish up here before they can find out how he's improving here this evening. And about 6.5 minutes remaining here in this fourth quarter. Very tight game between these two, a 2-point difference. The field goal in the fourth quarter, really the difference here at this point. Up until that point, the Raiders held at least a 4-point lead at one point, and also a 1-point lead as we entered the intermission for the first half. And as you can tell, now that we've had this delay on the field, that the floodlights are more prominent. The sun is set down behind Mount Benson behind us, and for the final 6.5 minutes of this fourth quarter, the players will be playing mostly under the lights here off of Wakesaya Avenue here in Nanaimo. Both teams have returned to their sidelines and benches, and once the ambulance is able to proceed off of the field, I believe we'll be able to finish up and get a result here in this one. It's been a great game here so far today, and the VI Raiders can certainly be very happy with their defensive play here. I know that some of the game has been marred by some penalties and some flags, but for the most part, the Raiders have put together a very strong defensive effort and had some big shutdowns when they needed it. Both quarterbacks throwing an important interception there in the third quarter. It's a good look at the Prince George Kodiaks bench. Looks like some final last-minute preparations by BCAS. But as I mentioned, Cable Atwell with the good news that it's just for precautionary measures that they're taking him to the hospital. So some good movement of his limbs and such. Some very good, heartening news for Mekahia Williams and company. such a lovely temperature out right now, just kind of soaking it up. After having quite a hot afternoon, we were around 26 most of the afternoon, and it's come down a couple degrees with the sun setting. And even though the players are most assuredly tired and they'll need a full night of rehydration, they have had a chance to stay limber and get rehydrated to finish up the remainder of this fourth quarter. Thanks for sticking with us here on BCFCTV.com and TELUS Optic. And of course later, when if you're like me, you'll be viewing this on YouTube in a couple of days. Thank you to the powers that be in the BC Football Conference for helping make that a reality, and such great coverage here with Roll Focus. I just can't say enough good things about the crew. Speaking with Chris, one of the cameramen, during this little interlude, and you know, it's such an important thing to be able to get these players and these games into your living rooms and onto your tablets or smartphones, your computer monitors or your TELUS Optic. And I was looking at the some of the results from, I believe it was the women's rugby where they covered recently, and just an amazing job overall by the camera crew. We've got Orlando, who supplied everybody with some Subway and cold water on a hot day. That's a good way to make friends. And but most importantly, doing an excellent job. And you know what? We're here till it's finished, and we're going to make sure that we get you all squared up with the result in this one. Just seeing if I could pull up some of the results here from earlier today. Most of the other games did start around or started at 4 o'clock, so they should all be in the books. There's the fans applauding the efforts of the BC Ambulance Service as they get ready to depart from the field. So, looks like the Rams handed the Broncos a 36-3 loss. The Rebels with a 62-23 win over the Okanagan Sun. So those are the two other finals today. The Langley Rams having a good start to the season. Of course, the Rebels just playing some great football, particularly at Starlight Stadium. And shout out to Tyler, who's been doing a great job in that respect. Great guy and a really good broadcaster. Was able to watch some of his coverage there. So we're gonna get you up to speed now as the Kodiaks ready to go. Two in motion on the far side. There's a handoff. No, it's faked handoff. He's going to get on his horse and run it to the outside, and he picks up about 5, maybe 6 yards there, as he gets it around the 51 or 52 yard line. It was hard to see on the far side of the field, but a good run. And Sam Sabine doing some good work there. Good job by Caden Wagner there to sell that handoff from up here. As I told you, the floodlights really have a big effect on the game, and they're going to have Cale Cowley punt that one away. Bounces in the dirt on the far sideline, spins off of one tackle, and getting it down the sideline. Maybe a gain of about 10 or 11 on that run back. And that was Riker Sansbury, who really did a good job opening up momentum in the first quarter for the Rebels, or pardon me, for the VI Raiders, as they started off the game with a real spark, and on the first drive they scored a touchdown, but they had it called back. And of course it was Riker Sansbury that collected that football, that big reception in the end zone. And I'm sure before this game is out, he would love to get one for reals. Ben Chomiluk. What has he got in the playbook here? One in motion on both sides. The handoff. And it's a lot harder to tell with certainty at this point in the game. The players down on the field, but I believe that was Favier Analike, who had an awesome third quarter running the ball. And I still think that Paul Romanoff might still have something up his sleeve here. He's been so effective today, and he's such a fast runner. When he gets that ball, his first couple of steps are so explosive. Two in motion on the near side. Chomiluk looking downfield, gets away from the pressure. Now he's going to carry it himself. He gets it down all the way to the 50-yard line, maybe the 49, and a great run by Ben Chomiluk, and you can chalk up another number of yards for that man as he continues to tally those, but he saved them for a great point in the game. A little bit of switch up there by Chomiluk, and you saw him sell that fake here. Made it look like he was going to go to the outside, and it was only after Anthony Rodriguez was able to wrap him up, but he evaded that first important tackle and picked up some important yardage. Chomiluk into the pocket. He's looking downfield, throws to the sidelines, and it's caught and taken out of bounds near the 50-yard line, maybe around the 52, I guess is where they'll spot it. And Riker Sansbury and Harmon Ahuja, they're going to be very important here in this drive here downfield. It's a good catch as Sansbury jumped up and made sure that he got his right shoulder in front of that ball. They try and sneak it forward. There's a flag on the play, but it was a quarterback sneak. Did they get the first down, or will the flag help them? It's hard to say, but Ben Chomiluk kept the ball for the quarterback sneak, and looked like he made maybe 1 or maybe 2 yards on the sneak as you see him eyeing up the chains on the near side of the field. But this flag will be a very important one. And it is a flag against the Kodiaks, so that definitely aids the cause here for the VI Raiders. Looked like it was a hold, so
Spotted at the 50, and then it's
so the ball is moved down to the 47. So a 5-yard penalty, and Chomiluk will go to work here. 3:41 remaining. Nail-biter finish. There's a throw to the outside, and it's incomplete, but there's a flag on the play. Was he interfered with as he reached for that ball? I don't know. It was very close to tell, as Riker Sansbury was the intended target, and he looks a little bit shaken up. He'll readjust the helmet there, and the so it is pass interference, so it'll be a 15-yard penalty. And it was a well-thrown ball, and the coverage there, Tegan Morin was first one there, but I think Nick Tremblay might have given him a little push from the back as he tried to catch that ball, and boy, now they're really moving the ball downfield. Ball around the 38-yard line. Raiders on an impressive drive, 2 in motion on the far side. It's going there, overthrown though, and that'll lead up their first down. Move them into an important second down situation here, and Ben Chomiluk, an important moment in the game here. Can the Raiders at least move it into field goal territory? As I mentioned, the ball at the 38 of the Prince George Kodiaks. Fans being traded to a nail-biter here. It might be low scoring, but boy, this game's had a little bit of everything, but so evenly matched, these two teams. Chomiluk takes the ball deep in the pocket, throws it. It's complete downfield, and it might be enough for the first down. It's going to be close. Riker Sansbury helping move the chains here. Did he get enough on that pass for first down? He took a good hit for that reception, but looks like they're a few yards short of the first down, or at least a couple yards. So it looks like a timeout being called by the Raiders. And as I mentioned, Tegan Morin, he's been so active in the backfield today, and he was there immediately as Riker Sansbury had to jump up to catch that ball. So they'll get some rehydration going here for the team, and what an interesting point in the game. Really, it just comes down to instincts from the offensive coordinators and the offensive assistants, and what they decide to draw up here. Raiders discussing things around the 42-yard line in the huddle. And it looks like play is going to be whistled back in. Big point in the football game. 2-point spread. The Kodiaks up by 2. Chomiluk gets up in tight. They drive it forward. Looks like he's got it. He's wrapped up, but I think it's enough for the first down. It's going to be close. Now the Kodiaks are trying to signal that it was not, but it is indeed a first down, and a huge play as Ben Chomiluk. That's the kind of experience and savvy that you need out of your quarterback, and there was the slightest of hesitations before he drove forward and over to his left, and it was that little extra hesitation that helped drive him forward and get into the first down position. Look at him just bury his head and just driving forward. He got wrapped up by 3 jerseys that were white, but he had still made the first down. And now the Raiders operating around the 27-yard line. Flag on the play. Ball is thrown in a dive, but no catch as the ball goes in and out of the arms. And what is the flag on the play? They threw it immediately after the ball was snapped, so it was something on the line. I'll have to await the call here. As I mentioned, discipline has been a big factor today. So looks like a 5-yard penalty. They'll redo first down here. So it was just procedure on the offensive line. Oh, and that might have, I think that might have been Paul Romanoff just a little bit out too quickly across the line. Chomiluk fades into the pocket, gets one block, gets to the outside. Is he going to run it? Looks like he is. He takes off, and he gets it out of bounds. And it looks like it was close to the first down. The Raiders bench coming alive as Ben Chomiluk doing what he has done so well this season, and that's taking what he's given. And he was given a little bit of time, but boy, the experience to wait there in the pocket for a moment until he felt the pressure from his left side, and then he took off. And another great run by Ben Chomiluk. Boy, Paul Romanoff really sold the handoff well too as he maintained the motion. And he points to out of bounds, and once again, Morin is the first one there to bump him out of bounds, but now the Raiders knocking on the door. The ball is dropped. Raiders have possession. They were able to recover the ball. Ben Chomiluk, He paid for that one, but he certainly did well to get possession. That would have been disastrous for the Raiders if they turned over the ball now. 1:46 on the clock. Raiders down by 2. But they've been chewing up the clock here. Tons of field possession. Ben Chomlik felt the heat. And be very interesting to see what the Raiders are going to do here now. You know, we have to give the officials credit for doing such a good job. There's so much to watch. 11 players aside and so much going on right at the line of scrimmage and even in the one-on-one battles. Receivers and cornerbacks. Chomalik. About the 28. Quick throw. Oh, and it bounces in and out of the hands. I believe that was Paul Romanoff, and he had it. And that one could be costly for the Raiders as I mentioned, the play in these nighttime conditions with the floodlights, everything looks different out there. And trust me, the glare off of helmets and the sidelines, it's all disorienting. And the throw is a little bit wobbly, but it bounces off of his right shoulder before he can drag it in. And Paul Romanoff. And this one for all the marbles. Sterling Henry kicks it. And it's good. It's a field goal, and the Raiders have a 1-point advantage with 1:25 remaining on the clock. And you could see that everyone was holding their breath as the Prince George Kodiaks received the ball in the end zone and started running it immediately. And for some of the fans, they were kind of confused as if that one didn't make it through the uprights, but it certainly did. And they've got Sterling Henry to thank for that. And a good place job there by A.J. Carr, making sure they had good control of that football. Well, the narrowest of leads, but the Raiders have it once again. They didn't trail anywhere in the first half, but after the third quarter, they conceded that one field goal that opened up the 2-point advantage for the Prince George Kodiaks. What a football game here tonight. So the Raiders set to punt the ball. Very important defensive play now for the Raiders. Can they maintain this? Picked up in the backfield, swinging out to the far side of the field, and he gets stopped right around the 35-yard line, and that's where the Kodiaks will go to work. And a good run there by Taman Pittick, who actually I believe that was Caden Wagner. Wagner with a big play in the third quarter. And he's had an important night here for the Kodiaks as they send out their big O-line. Raiders fans trying to get their team jazzed up for whatever they can expend out of the gas tank. They want to see it all out now. Boy, I bet you can hear this miles away from Wakasai Avenue. In play, thrown out to the outside, high catch, and that's brought in by Cowley, but he's driven out of bounds. Wow, and that scoreboard's really prolific now. It's got some kaleidoscope kind of effects and makes some noise, and indeed the fans have been. That's a very impressive sign over there. I didn't realize it was such a well-designed piece of digital equipment, but that was impressive. And all apologies. Yes, that was Kale Cowley. For a moment there, I wasn't sure if that was Van Someren that caught that ball. Play in motion. Trying to skirt out of the pocket. A little dish pass over the middle. And met immediately by the Raiders. Did the ball pop out? No. But a good tackle nonetheless on the first one in there.
Just enough for a first down for the Kodiaks. 1:02 remaining.
And you could even hear the public announcers. 1:02 remaining.
On their own 50-yard line.
Ball at the 50.
Here it is.
2 in motion on the near side. Thrown up high and immediately caught. And it's fumbled.
He dropped it.
Oh, they're calling it an incomplete pass, but the Raiders were the first on the ball if that was indeed a fumble. And a great play by Jake Smith. You know, he might not be the largest man out there, but boy, he can throw that weight around that he has. You would not want to get hit by him when he's in full flight. Sam Sabine sold that look off, but they ruled it incomplete. Now a Hail Mary pass downfield, looking, and it's just too far overthrown. And I think that the cornerback got a hand on it, but great coverage in the backfield.
Second down.
Nathan Halyuk just coming up huge here this afternoon and this evening. And I didn't detect any flags on the play. Oh, an important down here now.
Here we go.
44 on the clock. There's a good shot of George O'Corey lining up into the pocket. Sam Sabine throws. It's complete. And that was Kale Cowley once again, the 6'7" Coquitlam product.
First down for the Kodiaks.
Oh, so they do get the first down. So the Kodiaks really turning this one into a nail biter. And the tackle there by Felice Toscano. First down, 37 seconds on the clock. Sam Sabine quickly in the pocket, throws downfield, and it was almost intercepted, looking for that Hail Mary pass. And the Raiders almost pulling that one in. The ball was definitely overthrown. And now Sam Sabine getting direction from the bench. Oh, important times for them. Can they march it close enough for a field goal? It's got to happen soon if they're going to.
Second down at the 50-yard line.
Fans so vocal now. What a great support and turnout here for both sides. Sabine in the pocket, throws it downfield. It's a reception caught by Cowley. And he gets dropped down somewhere around the 34-yard line. Oh my goodness, this one is literally right down to the wire.
First down for the Kodiaks.
So with a first down, fresh set of downs, and now you have to think it's up to the Kodiaks. Can they get their field goal kicker into position, or are they going to go for all the marbles with this one and try and send it into the end zone? They'll have a quick water break here as they figure it out. Oh my goodness, more drama than you can shake a stick at in this one. Such a good football game and such evenly matched clubs. Well, I told you we'd have a finish, and here we are. We're enjoying a real tight one here. So little time left on the clock, but all of the great teams know how to use that clock to their advantage. And the Kodiaks being quite efficient here in the late goings of this fourth quarter. What do the Raiders defense have in store? 2 in motion on the near side. Cowley looks like he's going down the middle. They're airing it up into the end zone. One-on-one coverage. It's up and through the arms, and it's incomplete. And I see a flag downfield. And in disbelief, Jake Smith looking around. Let's have a look at the replay and see how this one, a little bit of a wobbly ball, and they were both trying to catch it, it looked like. Oh my goodness, it looks like the call favoring the Kodiaks. Smith in disbelief, and I have to side with him a little bit there. It was hard to see what was wrong with that contesting the ball, but nonetheless the Raiders have work to do here. Ball at around the 15. Hand it off, and they drive it forward again. This time going safe on the run. Taman Pittock and Caden Wagner getting work here in the late goings. Sam Sabine with the quarterback sneak there as they use up all of this clock. Do the Raiders have one last huge play in them? You can see Cale Cowley counting up the men out on the field. They'll get one more quick water break here for this timeout, I believe, called by the Kodiaks. And so here we are. It's going to come down to the final play of the game. Can the Kodiaks kick this one through the upright? They're in good field position. It's up. And it bounced off the bar. But did it bounce inside? I think it bounced off the bar and inside. I can't be certain. I'll need to see the replay on that one, but I think it bounced off the bar and inside. Now, was there a flag on the play as well? I see one of the referees returning the flag to its position, but maybe that was just to end the quarter there, and I think that the Kodiaks have escaped with a win. I can't say for certain, but it looked like that kick went through the uprights, hit the bar, and bounced to the inside. And a couple of Raiders upset at the call towards the end of the game that gave the Kodiak such good field position. And you can see the kick. It rattles the bar, but I believe it stayed to the inside, although so that's how it ends, 17-15, and that field goal counts off of the bar. What drama here late as the Kodiaks get a fortuitous call late in the game in the fourth quarter on pass interference. Jake Smith astounded at the call, and it was a very contentious call, truly, considering it looked like he was vying for the ball as well, that he had jumped up and was trying to intercept that ball. But it got the Kodiaks just into good enough field position to send that one off of the bar. And a hard-fought matchup, and all of these Warriors meeting up at near center field, near the sidelines, on a game well played, and it had everything, including a kick off of the bar right at the time expiration. Sam Sabine hooking up and throwing one into the arms of Caden Wagner, and that was a big touchdown for them. That was their only touchdown of the game, but that's the one that got them into position to finish this one off. A 2-point advantage at the end of the game, 17-15. Once again, some great reception work on the part of Riker Sansbury, and he had a huge first quarter. And I thought he was one of the best Raiders in the fourth quarter. Look at Chomalik just scrambling, getting out of the pocket, but just unfortunately found one of the tallest players on the Kodiaks club. That one going up into Nick Tremblay's arms, and that was also a big turning point in this one. Both quarterbacks throwing a big interception in the third quarter. And that attempt downfield for Carson Flynn as he had that one go off of his arm on the deep ball. Very physical game as well, and Makahaya Williams so involved in the running game, and he'll have a big tally of yards even though he wasn't able to finish the fourth quarter. And there was that late field goal by the Raiders that gave them a 1-point advantage, and the fans just hoping that the Raiders could hang on to that lead. But some late game heroics and a ball off of the uprights just to the inside. They say it's a game of inches, and on this gridiron this afternoon, we definitely saw it is indeed a game of inches. The Kodiaks by the skin of their teeth, 17-15. Thank you for joining us here today. Thank you to the Rural Focus crew. Everyone's been fantastic, and a great schedule coming up as well. We're back here in just around 4 weeks' time for the next Raiders home game. But a fantastic game here this afternoon. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in. This has been BCFC Football. Thank you and have a great weekend.